Pimo is back, yo. Pimo is back. Huh? Pimo, I celebrate you, sir. My favorite pastor. It's not a secret. I say it everywhere. God bless you, Pimo. I celebrate my husband, the surest guy, Mr. Esther Longe, President General. I salute you. Ecclesia Hills, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today, I have the privilege of bringing not just a word of encouragement, but a word of clarity, direction, and redirection where necessary. You know, when I started thinking about this topic, or when the Lord was speaking to me about the topic of navigating transitions, it was a few months ago. And I realized that in the different spheres of our lives, without realizing it, we're always going through a transition of some sort. In fact, it's the very nature of the world to which we belong. Change is the only constant thing, right? So when I was thinking about navigating transitions, I was thinking about it in regards to, you know, the socioeconomic climate, you know. We all know what is happening out there. But we don't belong to that. We belong to Goshen. We belong to Jesus. We belong to God, the one that nothing takes him by surprise. And so the Lord caused me to begin to dig a little bit deeper. And so, because this is how I learn, what is the meaning of transition? Let us not assume that we know what transition means. So transition is the process or a period of changing from one state or condition to another, meaning that we can infer that transitions are either processes or periods. Now, we know about periods. We know that seasons will change, as surely as God is, not in Nigeria, but, you know, to change from spring to summer to autumn to winter. Here, we have rain, more rain, small sun, more rain, and then God will have mercy upon us, and hopefully we will have harmattan, because I don't understand why it's still raining in September. But periods change. Even in this year alone, you know that you have navigated several periods. You have been balling, you have been broke, you have been balling, you have been broker, then you have been balling. You understand? As in, that is life. You are never in any constant state of whatever that period is. Things must change. But in following Christ, we must embrace the process of transition. Some of us may end up in extended periods of transition because we have not fully embraced the process of transition. And so where your winter season should be changing into spring and summer, you find that you are in a prolonged winter season because you haven't learned the lessons of the previous winters. And so today, I want to talk to us about the process of transition. I want us to use the case study of Elijah. Elijah as found in 1 Kings 17 to 19. One of the things when I read the Bible is I always wonder, I'm like, why does God allow the stories that he allows in the Bible? Why does he put certain encounters in the Bible? Why does he allow us to have a bird's eye view of this person's life experiences? Could it be that it's because he wants us to learn the relevant lessons from their lives? And so in 1 Kings 17 to 19, we encounter Elijah. In fact, his coming on the scene was an encounter itself, because if you look at 1 Kings 17 verse 1, it says, and Elijah the Tishbite. And being a student of English, I say, and where are we coming from? But there's nothing to suggest where we're coming from. If you look at 16 to the end, at the end of 16, it's talking about how, you know, somebody built the wall according to the word of Joshua. So even his entry into the scene was a transition. And Elijah, the Tishbite, of the inhabitants of Gilead, said to Ahab, as the Lord of Israel lives, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, except at my word. So you look at Elijah and realize that he's someone who knows the look face. You understand? He wasn't afraid of Ahab. He stood girded by the word of God. And then the Lord says, begin to move. I have set you a place of provision. So if we look at Elijah's CV, he does not fear man. he does not favor anybody. He says what the Lord wants him to say. He obeys God with speed. He embraces flexibility in his journey with God. I'm setting the stage so that we can understand the man that we are investigating today. He declared drought, but in the middle of drought, he experienced supernatural provisions. He experienced supernatural healing. In fact, his was Pro-Max because he raised somebody from the dead. He called down fire. He single-handedly killed 450 prophets of Baal. I want us to pause here because I've never killed chicken before. I don't know if you have killed chicken before, but it's not chicken. He killed a human being, not just one human being. He killed 450 by himself. He interceded for rain. He outran man-made technologies, chariots. Why is it important for us to know who this man is? Because as powerful as he was, he still had blind spots. You can be the most impressive leader. You can be the most successful business person. You can be the most eloquent of orators. But you get to a point in your life where you realize that there are blind spots. How do we know that there were blind spots? In 1 Kings chapter 18 from verse 12 to 13, it says, he meets with Obadiah. The Lord has released a word. Rain is going to come. He meets with Obadiah. Obadiah now reminds him, you see that you don't know me? I'm the one who rescued 100 prophets from Ahab, 50 per cave, and I also gave them food and water. He's looking at Elijah face to face. He's telling him, this is what I have done. If you scroll down a few verses to the showdown at Mount Carmel, what does Elijah say? 1 Kings 18, verse 22. I alone am left a prophet of the Lord. Was he lying? Was he lying? Was he lying? He believed it. How do we know he believed it? Because it's 1 Kings 19. The Lord asked him, sir, why are you here? I've served you with all my might. Even I, only I am left. The Lord asked him again, why are you here? I've served you, even I, only I. So, was he lying? So we now realize that the mind can be powerful, but it can be powerfully wrong. You can be a person of strength, of ability, able to discern times and seasons, intercede, birth promises, outrun technologies. But if your mind lies to you and you believe it, I'm not trying to be funny, but even God cannot change your mind. And how do we know this? Because there are strong people here. There are people always telling you, oh, you are so fantastic. You are so beautiful. When you speak like this, demons tremble. And you're like, who is the person? Me? It's because you don't know me. You have not seen me in my bedroom. You don't know when I'm crying. You don't know things I've been through. God is telling you it's time to move. No, God. Last week, one of my coaching clients, I was talking to the person, and the person said, oh, I'm in transition. How do I know I'm in transition? In fact, everything you were writing on Instagram, that thing was just touching my heart. I know I'm in transition. I said, okay, so what is God saying? God is saying, just like Moses, pick up your rod and go. God is saying, don't be concerned that you are a stammerer like Moses. Just speak. I say, ma, I've seen people in transition. You are not one of them. If God is telling you to pick up your rod and go, which transition are you in, please? I'm asking. So even God is telling her, move. But she's telling God, no, I'm in transition. You just don't know it. Hey, God. We find that the very things that made Elijah an effective prophet, able to speak without fear or favor, was the very thing that had embedded in it a point of failure. If perhaps he had inquired more of Obadiah and said, please, these 100 people that you hit, around where are they, please? Because something's about to happen and I need the help I can get. Perhaps, number one, he wouldn't have had to kill 450 prophets by himself. Perhaps also, when Jezebel released a word, somebody would have told him, sir, I don't know why you're shaking. Do you remember what you just did? But the very propensity to walk alone, to stand alone, was the very thing that had inside of it innately the blind spot that now became a point of failure. You now realize that there are things in our lives, and for the sake of today, I want to call them external things that I want to call demobilizers. I don't know if this will show my age, but when I was learning how to drive, there was something in the car that no matter where you are, you can be on the expressway. But if you press that thing in the car will shut off. Does anybody know it? People only used to driving automatic vehicles. It doesn't matter how far you are going, how fast. Once that thing is touched, the car goes off. Do you know what your demobilizers are? The things that today you are on the stage worshiping, thanking God, Lord, you are amazing, I just adore you, I praise you with everything that is inside of me. And then something happens, an external threat happens, and all of a sudden, God, do you even love me? Do you even care? Can you not see what I'm going through? Is the only way that has happened to? You ask yourself, how can somebody have raised somebody from the dead, birthed rain, outran chariots, called down fire, and then an external threat comes and he begins to run? The truth of the matter is that a lot of times after our highs of victory, we are not prepared for the counterattack from the enemy's kingdom. I remember when, in my early days, I used to do conferences. And the first time we did Broken Pimo, November 18, 2017, here in Radisson, actually, it was beautiful. People connected with the love of their Father. Lives were restored. It was a wonderful thing. I went home, and every single plate in my house broke that day. Why? The cupboard, I told you that. Broken, yeah. The cupboard, because the month before, I just had my daughter's first birthday. So we didn't want to give them paper plates as per, first birthday. We bought out every plate that they had given us for our wedding, everything. And the whole thing came down. For almost 1 year, we're just using 2 plates. Or how about the next year when we did Broken Streams? And everybody was like, oh, thank you, Esther. God bless you. I've been delivered. And as I was going home, a car hits my car. I was confused. How can I have done these amazing things for and with God, and this is happening to me? Until I spoke. And that's why isolation is a killer. You must speak. There is a reason why God puts us in community. You must speak. I remember talking to PI at the time, and she said, Esther, every time you have those kind of encounters, you must undergird it with worship and praise. You must thank God. About the times that I would do mighty conferences and I'll enter into depression the next week. We're not playing games. We're not playing games. Your life is more spiritual than it is physical. So we cannot focus on the periods of transition because they must change. But who are you becoming? Who are you becoming? And so an external threat comes and he begins to run. And you know the first thing that he does? He leaves his servant in Beersheba, which is what? Judah. Which means that the first thing that happens when you are threatened externally is one of the first things to forget is praise. You forget where God has brought you from. You forget who he is and how he has brought you a mighty long way. And the first thing that you abandon is praise. And then he carries himself. Not that they drove him, he carried himself to the wilderness. But the irony is, they were still talking about his exploits in the town. They did not know that he was running. So there are some of you that they are still talking about your exploits, but you and God know that you are running. All right. And so he enters into the wilderness. But for me, I've come to understand that the wilderness is a place of loving redirection. It's a place where God resets your brain. It's a place where he begins to recalibrate you and say, you have believed a lie for too long. It's time for you to engage with my truth. But the very first thing that the Lord, our God, who is a loving Father, does is that he says, sleep, eat, rest. Meaning that one of the cures for depression is sleep and food. There's a time to fast and there's a time to sleep and eat. So that you can have strength for the dismantling work God wants to do in your life. And for 40 days, he was on that regimen of sleeping and eating. Because, brethren, understand that he was tired. No, it's like you're just reading it and you're like, wow, what a superhero. Wow, fire, killing, rain, running. Brother was tired. And that's why you have to be careful of burnout. It is when you are burnt out that you forget all the lessons that God has brought you through. But in this hustling culture that we have, oh, I'm hustling, I'm tired, I keep moving. Before you know it, you are hustling, but you're not making traction. You're going round and round in circles. In this rat race, forgetting that the winner of the rat race is still a rat. So are you called to be the king rat? Or do you understand that you are called to a different track, which is the lion's track, the eagle's track? You are not like everybody else. So you cannot operate like the system of the world that the Lord has called you to come and change. You must do things differently. And so he's in the wilderness. Then the Lord says, come up to the mountain and speak. Meaning that when you are ready to do business with God, you must elevate your perspective. You must separate yourself. See, I'm an advocate for corporate prayers. I just spoke about the value of community. But when it comes to doing business with the Lord, nobody can do it for you. It's between you and God. And it requires a separation and an elevation. Habakkuk 2 verse 1 says, I will stand upon my watch and watch to see what the Lord will say and how I shall answer when I am reproved. Meaning that you must separate yourself. Stand up. Depression wants to keep you prostrate. It wants to keep you lying down, making you feel as if the world is on top of you, not you on top of the world. But you get to a point where you're like, Lord, it is enough. I want to understand what you are seeing concerning me. I want to see this person that you have called me to be. I am tired of the things I am hearing. I want to see you. And it requires that you stand up, stand on your watch, so that you can see. Have you thought about it? Why does it say see what he is saying? Why does it say hear? See. See. Because something happens when you see the vision, the purpose, the will of God for your life. You cannot unsee it. Even English people say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. See what he is saying, but that's not where the story ends. He says, and how I will answer when I am reproved. Meaning that there's no way that you interact with God that correction does not happen. He realigns you. And so he says, go and stand on the mountain before God. 1 Kings 19 verse 13 says, and Elijah wrapped his face in his mantle and came out. Now, ostensibly, that's a sign of respect to wrap his face and come out. But I have a question for you, my dear family. Which of your mantles are you wrapping your face in? You have wrapped your face in your gifts and your graces, the way God has moved with you, your previous experiences with God. And those things, as wonderful as they were, they are now becoming an interference between you being able to approach the Lord with unveiled face. And so you are still telling God, Lord, I remember when I used to lead prayer. I remember when I used to write and people used to cry for my writing. I remember when I used to speak and people used to fall slain by the words of my mouth. And God is like, I remember too. Can you remove the mantle? Lord, where's my gift of writing? Where's my gift of this? And you don't realize that some of those things are being shut deliberately so that the Lord can open you up into more. Because that thing had become your identity. Lord, they know me as a writer. That's great. But what if the Lord wants them to know you as a speaker in this season? Lord, they know me as a businessman. That's fantastic. But what if the Lord wants them to know you as, I don't know what this season is calling for? But Lord, I cannot change. They know me. How will I explain to them? How will I explain to them? My parents spent money, hard-earned money, so that I can have 4 degrees in this life. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the Lord said, leave and minister unto me. And I say, Lord, I beg your pardon. Because you could have called me after undergrad. No, master's is much. What do I want you to get? Call me after undergrad. Let me face you. And I remember in my time of transition, one of the people that I did PhD with, he would say, oh, Esther, so what's your 5-year plan? Not knowing that Esther was being broken. I said, I don't know what tomorrow holds. What do you mean you don't know what tomorrow holds? You have a brain. When the Lord deals with you, listen, it's better for you to surrender to the dealings of the Lord in a timely fashion. Because as much as God has feelings, he's not emotional. Whatever he's going to do in your life, he's going to do it. Whether you like it or you like it. So I used to call myself president of Stubborn Goat Club. I have since relinquished the title for whoever wants to collect it. Because you will waste your time, not his. Not his. You are telling God, can't you see I'm still in this season? It's time for me to move up. And it's like, have you learned the lesson? For some of you, it's the same script, different cast. Are you not tired? Are you not tired? If you bring your journals, you will see where God told you 5 years ago, start that business. They have prophesied it 4 or 5 times, 7. Business. I'm not a businessman. I don't know how to do business. I'm a 9 to 5 worker. Until they fire you from that job, then you now cry, God, where were you when they fired me? I'm angry with you, God. Hello. Are you blaming God for things that he has been warning you about? And so he wrapped his face in his mantle. Please pull up for me 2 Corinthians 3 from verse 16 to 18. The Lord wants us to unwrap ourselves from whatever we think our previous identity was, and to enter into what I call unveiled face, where we stand before the Lord. 2 Corinthians 3 verse 16 says, it's talking about Moses. Talks about how they could not encounter the glory because they said his face was too much. And so he had to cover his face. And it says, even in verse 15, it says, even till now, they're still blinded when Book of Roses is read. But 16 says, the solution to remove the veil from your mind and your heart is to turn to the Lord. You see, as we said about Elijah, you can be powerful, great, full of exploits, but your mind can be powerfully wrong, trapping you in a place that no human being can bring you out unless the Lord reveals it to you. And so what is the prayer point? Father, Lord, I turn every area of my life to you. Examine me, oh God. Show me where there is a veil that is interacting, being detrimental to my ability to know what your will is in that area. Do a self-audit and say, Lord, I turn myself to you. I do not even for 1 second believe that I have attained any measure. But Father, Lord, if there's anything that is stopping me from experiencing the liberty which you promised in 2 Corinthians 3 verse 17, Lord, I turn it to you. So you can be so powerful in your career. You can be powerful even in ministry, but in relationships, you are looking like, and my daddy will say, Ayana with her spare. I don't know who that is, but that's what he says. You are looking, and you're like, it's okay. I can do bad all by myself. I'm good. I got my career. God speaks to me. And God is like, but look at relationships. Look at friendships. There's so much rhetoric that is not even Christian concerning friendships. Know when a season has ended. Let it go if it does not pay you. I say, show me in the Bible. Even Jesus himself, of the 12 plus the one that betrayed him, if he had come, and I ask you, I say, between the person that denied him 3 times and the person that what was the difference? The difference was that one repented. So I cut you off if you are not serving. What? If you are not serving me, if another person said, I cut them off because I don't see them in my future. I say, it's like you have crystal ball now, you can see into the future. You are the one that can tell what the destiny of a man is. You are not serving my future. We'll share your future. There's so many things that you have believed, and you don't even know where you believed them from. Some things you had your father say to you, your parents, and you believed that is the law. It's not. Turn your face to the Lord. Turn your gaze to the Lord and tell the Lord, Lord, please, shine on me, have mercy on me. Where am I viewing you with veiled face? Because verse 17 says, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there's liberty. Meaning that if there's any area in your life where you're not experiencing the liberty of the Lord, you are experiencing it through a veiled face. That's the quickest way to know where your face is veiled when it comes to the Lord. Anywhere where you're not experiencing liberty, freedom, your face is veiled. Verse 18. But we all, with unveiled face. Meaning that whatever you're about to read next, the criteria is that you have your unveiled face. You cannot pray the remaining, or say the remaining, or declare the remaining, if you are still with veiled face. But we all with unveiled face, beholding as in a mirror the glory of the Lord, are being transformed into the same image from glory to glory, just as by the Spirit of the Lord. Meaning that God has not required you to stay stagnant. There's no how you will confront the face of the Lord and you will remain in that state that you are in. The only way that you are able to interact with the glory of God and still remain in the state that you are in is if your face is veiled. And so, Lord, unveil my face. Unveil my face, Lord. It's time for me to enter into liberty. It's time for me to be transformed. Back to the story of Elijah. When he has this conversation with the Lord now lets him know, sir, not only are there 100 that Obadiah told you, there are 7,000. He moves from only I, to there are 7,000 of us. Meaning that you move from a scarcity mindset to one of abundance. This is not about financial prosperity alone. I don't have any friends. I don't have any business ideas. I don't have. I only don't. Whatever those areas of your life are, when you turn to the Lord, you now begin to realize that he says, what is in your hand? And he begins to amplify and multiply it. Because now he knows that you can now become an effective steward. And so he now says, we see that Elijah, after that encounter, is now promoted to the next level of glory, kingmaker. Anoint to me Jehu, Hazael, mentor Elisha, community leader. We now see how in chapter 20, schools of the sons of the prophet begin to arise. People that were in caves now begin to have the courage to accost Ahab on the road because he has entered into the person that God has called him to be. There are people that are relying on you standing up, on you allowing the Lord to transform your mind. And there are people that are looking to you. They will receive boldness from you embracing all that God has asked you to embrace. The people that were hiding, they now had the ability to be visible. What changed? What changed? Elijah's mind. We now even see 2 Kings 1, 9-14, we see that when Ahab has died by this time, Ahaziah now sends people to come and capture Elijah. A captain with 50 come. Elijah now stands and says, he sits on the mountain and says, if I be a man of God, let fire come and consume you. The person that was running from the Jezebels of this world is now the one that sits and says, if I be a man of God, let fire burn. Fire burnt one group of 50. Fire burnt second group of 50. Until the third group, the captain said, please, I'm on my knees, man of God, I beg. I have a family, I have children. Please don't burn us. What changed? He had removed the limits of God. He had removed the limits of himself. He had allowed the Lord to transform his mind. He had removed the parameters of trust because he understood that God could call down fire to show his power. But he had forgotten that God could also call down fire to protect him, his servant. You are operating for God, but you think that God cannot look after you. You think that God cannot take care of you. He cannot protect you. He cannot provide for you. Truly, there are some of the prayers that we pray that hurts the heart of God. How can God move through you so powerfully and neglect you, the vessel? But yet we don't realize it. You don't realize it, but we hear it in the prayers that you pray. You have forgotten who your God is. And so the Lord wants to open your eyes and your heart this morning. He wants you to remove the veil. And this is what I saw when I was preparing for this meeting. If you want us to pray for you, if you want the veil to be removed, say, I cannot do it by myself. I don't even know what prayer to pray. Please come forward. We will agree with you in prayer. Because this transformation must happen. This person that the Lord is developing, you must be the person. You are not allowed to continue to repeat the class. You are not allowed to continue to go around this mountain. It's time for you to come up. Be not unwise. Be not unwise. But knowing what the will of the Lord is. Not what the will of the Lord was. What the will of the Lord is. It's time for the veil to come off. It's time for the veil to come off. It's time for the veil to come off. No more limitations on God or yourself. It's time for the veil to come off.